Yahweh Shai by Sherman Kakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Those in this gospel broad living up to the standard of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. Um, this is just kind of like a land back off Apostle Elder Gabar's video. I believe he did a few days ago, maybe yesterday. I think he did it yesterday when he showed the clip of that Jake airing that dude out in the sun in the hallway due to that altercation that he had with an alleged neighbor that was complaining about noise, which I hear different stories about that whole incident. I know one guy got on the comment board and told me that incident was kind of ongoing and that the guy I believe that pulled the gun was ultimately harassing the people, I believe downstairs or upstairs or something like that. And I guess this was one of those ordeals, but that's neither here nor there. But the reason for the lesson is to, teach Jake, or not to teach, or just to inform us not to go off our emotions, man, because like people think that emotion is just you having female tendencies, or you're crying, or you're acting in a tirade, so to speak. You're going off in a tirade, in a tantrum. But emotion can be just something, or somebody riling up your feelings or your emotions off minuscule things. Like Jake, they're taught here in Babylon that a man is full of aggression and he has to defend the cause no matter what. Somebody disrespects you, oh man, you got to make sure that guy pays because he just violated your manhood. And really that sentiment was pushed on through black women, okay? Because you got to understand that women, mainly women of color, black women, they thrive off drama, okay? If you were with a so-called black woman, you are going to have drama on unfathomable levels, man. And brothers that's dealing with Keisha, tell me that I'm lying, okay? Because these women, they thrive off drama. They thrive off putting you in an unfavorable predicament. Like prime example, right? Let's just say if you have a woman, she dresses provocative, and y'all decide to go out to a lounge or a club or something to eat, and you have a bunch of grimy jakes there. That 9 times out of 10, they're gonna hit on your woman. They're gonna disrespect you. You know what I'm saying? And they may even be as bold as trying to talk to your woman in front of your face, which is gonna generate an emotional response from you, because now you feel that you're being violated and that you're being disrespected, and ultimately you have to save face for the woman you're dealing with, because if you don't stand up and defend yourself, no matter how volatile the situation is, no matter how outnumbered you are, okay, no matter if they have your number or if you're completely in a distasteful situation, you have to go out on a whim, even if it means your life, because if not, she doesn't harbor respect for you, which is complete madness, man. Okay, this is why we tell you brothers all the time, man. Hey, learning to control your emotions is really not, it's not an easy thing, because we've been brought up to deal with our emotions. We've been brought up to be in our feelings. Like they got this thing here in the Babylon. Hey, you got to tap into your feminine side. You got to tap into your emotional side. I love a man that can cry. Which is nothing wrong with men crying, because men did weep. Yahweh Shai wept. But when you put it in the right circumstance, then we understand it. And emotions generated, that's naturally. Every human has an emotional response, whether it's anger, happy, sad, but you have to know when to use those particular responses in order to deal with your situation, okay? And one thing that happened to that guy in the hallway was the fact that he didn't control his emotions, because like the elder apostle said, he said the guy just thought he had it on lock because he was a bigger dude. He was more physically intimidating. So if you pay attention to the guy that was on a defense, how calm he was, and he set himself up in a perfect position to set that dude down. But the problem that was with the whole ordeal was the fact that the woman was in the midst. She brought the confusion, and when she tried to pull that man away, he turned his back for 1 second, and that's when the dude under the coat, that's when he drew on him, man. And that was murder she wrote. Okay, just a split second like that of not using your mind, not having a sound mind, got him in the spirit world. Okay, so when you look at the body and you look at Israelites out here, like from this whole ordeal that went down last week with these men talking about we got to roll on Palestinians and all this madness, that was all due to emotion, man. Okay, and I won't take out the fact that a lot of those guys are agent provocateurs as well. But when you look at a lot of men, those leaders or those heads of those groups played on the emotions of those younger men, because now they're like, look, these men tried to assault us, we got to get some get back. And that's the first thing Jake got to get back. Okay? And there is situations in the scriptures that if somebody puts your family to death, you have a right to get blood for blood. But it has to be done in the proper circumstances, man. Okay? You just can't go out here on an emotional tirade and just decide to start shooting people up because you had a bad day at work. Okay? Same thing out there teaching on the streets, man. Hey, somebody may come up and hey, they may be disrespectful. They may be in a foul spirit. But the thing is how you're gonna deal with it and how are you gonna de-escalate it. Okay? And that's the thing. Jake haven't learned properly on how to manage their emotions because Jake is used to being reactive, man. And when you're overly reactive, you don't give yourself time to think about your next move, man. Like most Jakes, we grew up fighting, learn how to fight in the streets, right? One thing I was always taught, and this is hard for a lot of Jakes, when you're in a physical altercation, you have to learn to control your emotions, man. Because if you that erratic, you will literally put yourself in harm's way, and you will get killed because you don't have the ability to think properly because you have so much anxiety. Okay, which anxiety is a demon, and you have to learn how to control those anxieties. But it's not always easy because we have not been taught to control those emotional pulses, man. Okay, so coming into this faith, this wisdom, this understanding, Yahweh Shai told Peter, hey, when Peter smote off Malchus' ear, he said, hey, put thy sword up, man, because he that lived by the sword will perish with the sword. Because what Peter did, he did it off an emotional reaction because they was coming to grab up the Lord, man. Okay, prime example, somebody put their hands on somebody you care about, you're gonna do something about it, which is self-defense, right? But see, even in that regard, the Lord told Peter, like, hey, you gotta hold your peace, man, because hey, you think that my father can't presently send me a legion of angels and take these people down? He said, but how should the scriptures then be fulfilled? Okay, so he had to go through that. Okay, but what I'm realizing in the faith as well, it's a lot of men moving like women. Okay, I'm seeing it in a lot of these different groups, man. I'm seeing it like with men that's been scoffing us for over a decade. They have women energy, man. You know, calling brothers jobs, sending things to brothers just and putting it in their name and trying to get brothers fired, man. All types of just weird shit. You would think like, wow, these men supposed to be men of the Lord, but yet they moving like a bunch of women. Like, what man calls another man's job just to get him fired? Like, what kind of shit is that? That's really mentally disturbing when you see how a lot of men in this thing really move, man. You ask yourself, like, there's no difference between these guys and the men in the world, because Jake moved like that in the world, man. You know, Jake moved like that in the world. They're so emotional and they're so impulsive to the point they don't think about nothing, man. And this is why the scriptures say, hey, gird up your loins and show yourselves men. Okay, because a man, he rationalizes things, he thinks things through, and ultimately he talks things out so he could come to a better resolution that could end well for him and possibly the other person. So therefore you can go back and do what you got to do, man. Okay, because see, they're taught in this kingdom that if you down talk the situation or you try to talk yourself out of an altercation, you're afraid, you're a punk. That does not mean that. But if I talk myself out of a situation, hey, it's because I'm sparing the other guy. It ain't because of me. You know what I'm saying? It's because, hey, I ain't doing it for you. I'm doing it for you. I ain't doing it for me. I'm doing it for you. Because what can happen to you if I go off the deep end, then it's no turning back from that. And Jake don't really think about that. They don't put value on life, man. Okay? This is why the scriptures say, seek ye life, man. Okay? But Jake seek death. Because the scriptures say those that seek death and do find it. Jake put themselves in all types of bad situations that they know is not going to come out favorable on their behalf. I remember, this is a story. This may have been back in, 2013? This may have been 13 years ago. 13 years ago, maybe. I went in the truth then. But I remember I had a cousin, man. You know, we grew up together. You know, he was like my brother, man. You know, it wasn't nothing that we didn't share. You know, that was like my homie, bro. We grew up because his uncle, well, his father is my uncle, you know, my mother's brother. So we grew up like brothers. But over the course of years, as we got like in our late teens, early adult years, I want to say like around 19, because I was 19 at the time. He may have been 17, 18. Then I noticed, like, when I stopped getting in trouble, he started getting in trouble. Okay, and it was to the point that this man was literally going to jail every fucking year for the same shit, whether it be guns or, you know, whatever situations it may be. One time he came to my auntie's house, my great auntie, my grandmother's sister, which she passed away, but we still kept the house in the family. He come over to the crib because he's been away for so long. He seen I ain't gonna say he forgot that was the family, but it was so weird because people didn't really know about him like that because they haven't seen him since he was younger. But long story short, he come over to the crib, car shut the fuck up. I'm like, bro, what's going on? I'm like, why your vehicle shut up, bro? He shook his head. He said, man, bro, if I tell you why we into it with some other cats, you gonna shake your head. And I'm like, I'm listening. He said, man, bro, niggas come up to me shooting at me and it's all over a bitch. I said, wow, bro, really? He said, yeah, all this shit is over a fucking funky ass hoe. And back in my mind, you know, I'm young then, but I'm like, I told her, like, bro, you really finna sit up here and go to war and put yourself in jeopardy over. Damn. Salakia, brothers, man. This I don't know what's going on with this thing, but it's kind of cutting in and out. But basically, I was like, how are you still living? Because, I mean, he had like 70, 80 bullet holes in the car, man. And this is like over a course of time. He'd be at the store, niggas would come up shooting at him. And the crazy part about it is, I'm like, bro, should nobody be shooting at you like that unless you killed somebody, unless, you know, it's some gang beef, or unless you owe somebody a lot of money. But I'm like, you into it with petty nonsense, man. You know? And it's just like, it's crazy. But all that is due to emotion, man. Okay? Because Jake is highly emotional. Jake don't think. Okay? And a lot of times, Jake, they get that way because that's a woman trait. Most Jakes grew up in a single woman household. So when you go, oh shit. Salakia, brothers, man. I had this connected to the Bluetooth. It probably didn't even sound good. But Salakia. But basically, Jake grew up with those emotions, man, because when you grew up in a house full of women, you're seeing them argue, you're seeing them upset, they're on their time of the month. And oftentimes those emotions die off, they rub off on you. You know, when your mother is coming in, smack you upside the head because you didn't get up early enough for school, or you ate the last Krispy Kreme donut, you literally getting thrown across the room, and that will generate a emotional response in you to the point everything somebody do to you, you're gonna be on edge. Okay, this is why we have to learn to control our emotions, man, because hey, if King David was going off his emotions every time he murdered somebody, hey, he would be literally a mass murderer, man, but he didn't. He went off the spirit. King David knew when to flee for a fight, and every time King David went to battle, he always inquired of the Lord, man, because he knew that his victories was not of his own strength. And you can read about that in Psalms, the 44th chapter, when King David specifically broke down that neither will my bow nor my shield save me, man, okay? But Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the power of the Lord, is what delivered him through those battles, man, okay? So we have to understand that moving a certain way, especially the times we're in, hey, you gotta move with wisdom out here, man. Okay, you can't be out here thinking you Joey Badass, man, or a Tough Tony, you know, trying to fight the whole world when you have no power to do so, man. Certain situations you just gotta back down from. And I tell people like this, man, like a motherfucker can say what they want to say to you. They could call you as many bitches as they want, because see, that bitch word, when a man get called a bitch, it ignites something in his spirit, because deep down inside he really feels that he's inferior. Even though that's a highly disrespectful word, but my thing is, if a man call me a bitch, he got to prove that I'm one. Okay, you could call me that shit from across the room, but you got to prove it. And call Allah Yahweh Shemi Awashai. Lord be dealing. But you got to prove, you know what I'm saying? You got to prove that I'm a female, man. Okay, you could call me that shit all you want. And yeah, people going to instigate, oh, damn, bro, he just holds you. It ain't even like that, but this man didn't put his hands on me. He put his hands on me, or if he come in my reach, and I feel that my possession is threatened, then we finna go there. But he could talk all the shit he want, because I tell any man, look, I'm not gonna argue with you. I will lose an argument with another man because I just don't have the words to argue like a woman to another man. It's either hot or cold with me. Either we gonna go there or we not. You know what I'm saying? And if we go there 9 times out of 10, it's because you put yourself in a predicament to do so. You know what I'm saying? But all that shit talking, man, I'll beat your ass, cuz. Hey, bro, you could talk all that shit all you want, but hey, you got to do what you say you got to do, man. But see, Jake get roused up off that because they get into it. Is women around now? They have to prove their ego, and an ego get a lot of men killed, man. Okay, egos get a lot of men put in the graveyard, especially behind women. All right, because he felt like, well, damn, if I don't defend myself in front of this woman, she ain't gonna want to deal with me no more. Who gives a fuck? Shit, you're saving your life, man. Because every battle was not designed to be fought at that time. Scriptures say there's a time and place for everything. There's a time of peace and there's a time of war. Okay? And right now we're in a time of judgment. So any false move that you make outside of the spirit can cost you greatly. Okay? It can cost your life, man. And we seen what happened with that guy that got gunned down in that hallway. Okay? He put a couple, I think he put one in his head. He put one in his back and put one in his head. And he shot the boy. And you see how quick the black woman dipped out. Okay, now let's just say if that was dude's stepson, either way it go, I believe that child, that may have been her child. Okay, either way it go, she was in relation to that kid. And guess what? She ran on the kid and left her man out there to get put down, man, and closed the door on him, which shows you that women are not about that goddamn life, man. Okay, all this tough talk, these women independent, you seen exactly what happened. When things got real, she left that man out there to defend himself. And ultimately, he caught a bullet in the noodle, man. Okay? Being distracted by that woman. And for one thing, not using wisdom. Okay? That guy came up there. And like I said, I've heard a couple of different accounts of the story. But let's just say if it was just a matter of a disturbance. That situation didn't have to end like that, man. But you can tell that was tension built up because the guy came there with a gun already. Then again, Jake is unreasonable. Okay, most Jakes you deal with, that's not in the truth. Most of Jake is very unreasonable, man. They're highly emotional, and you can't deal with them on a man-to-man level. Okay, 9 times out of 10, if you confront a Jake with an issue you may be having, 9 times out of 10, you are gonna get into a physical altercation, man. Okay, I had a neighbor. Matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, I had to knock on his door because I'm like, hey, bro, you know, he caught me off guard going to work. It's like he basically asked me a question, and he asked where I lived at, but it didn't sit right with me. I'm like, why you need to know where I live at? You know what I'm saying? If I've been emotional, I'll be like, nigga, what the fuck you mean where I live at? Because that was my first response. I'm like, this nigga trying to come in my spot. And that's the first thing that came in my mind because Jake see how you move. They feel some type of way. Jake is very jealous-hearted, man. And plus, I don't trust niggas, man. So the first thing I thought, I'm like, man, this guy is really trying to do something. But then when he was asking why, it made a lot of sense as to why he was asking. But even then, it just like the way he came at me like a female, like he was on edge. So I was like, okay, I'll deal with this when I get back home. So when I got back to the crib, I knocked on his door and I say, hey, well, he didn't answer the door. So I went back to the crib and I took out the trash, and then he was like, hey, was that you knocking on the door? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, let me rock with you real quick. And then, I kept it brief. I'm like, so what's the ordeal? I'm like, what was the problem this morning, man? I'm like, you seem kind of aggravated. What's up? You know what I'm saying? He was like, nah, man, somebody left a lot of shit on my balcony and I'm doing X, Y, Z. I'm like, yeah, they just sprayed the gutters yesterday. I'm like, everybody's shit is fucked up. But I kept it stern with him enough to know, like, nigga, don't act like it's like that, because I'm like, you'll get your head bit off at the end of the day. And he picked up on it like, okay, this guy, he really just confronted me about some shit I was bitching about. And he kind of got the message. But the point about it is, Jake is very emotional and they're very unreasonable, man. Okay? But anyway, I'm going to end it there. Giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahawashi, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. And with that, Shalom and a Baba Ball. Shalom.